Yes, it would be. Oh my gosh. Well, I have been to Dublin myself, but it's been a wee few years ago that I went. But it's been a while, but I did go, and I did have me a good time, and I'd love to go back. So maybe someday I'll take Marcus here, and we'll have us some. We'll joke around and carry on and
visit some heritage sites.
yes.
I've done that in Norway. It's great fun.
And that's where your heritage is more from in Norway.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. Very nice. Yeah, to really get the feel of the country and connect. But
stayed with relatives even. We stayed with our distant cousins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
Exactly. Well, how Norwegian are you, Sue?
87%.
Wow. That's significant.
I'm making sure my volume is on full.
Gotcha.
I think before we go, when people have done these heritage tests and, you're 10% Scottish, 20% Mexican, 30% English, etc. I wonder if any of them have ever come back with a percentage unknown.
Then you'd think you were an alien, wouldn't you?
No.
I'm thinking those people don't have the test.
Yeah.
But I do have, after the 87%, I have some mixture. And, potentially this goes back to the beginning of humanity. So we all have a teeny bit of mixture. There has to be.
Does have to be. Yeah. My son had a little bit of and he's a really pale skinned, red hair, green-eyed person, and he has a little bit of sub-Saharan African in him, which we were like, wow, who would have thought? But you're right. I mean, it goes back to wherever, civilization really started, and some of it did start there, I guess, and some in the the valley, there in the what is now Iraq, I guess, the valley where those rivers are. There's a couple rivers. I won't do well on Jeopardy tonight. The Mesopotamia, or those places. It goes back to there.
Those long word places.
Right.
I'm kind of crazy about Jeannie's chairs.
I know.
Yeah, they're little hammock chairs here.
Those are great, Jeannie. I bet they're comfy.
Yeah, they're hanging from the ceiling of the dome.
Yes, Jeannie has such a unique house. Oh my gosh, it's a fabulous house. It's a dome house.
Yes. Geodome.
You must get from that place. The saying that.
What was that?
The saying, I know a bit about architecture, and they say the energy that's created, like within a dome area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably what Jeannie was thinking about when she had it built, right?
Well, it was economical to build. So that was more of but then I learned more about the sacred geometry and all the beautiful aspects of the dome. But yeah, I actually just put it on Airbnb recently, like in September, and I've been pretty booked every weekend. And I have a real exciting guest coming next Wednesday for 4 days. He's famous.
Just how famous is he?
Would we know? As close to God as you could possibly get. He's the dog whisperer.
Oh my golly.
That is close to God.
Yes,
God, stuck backwards is God.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, he's coming. Well, that is fabulous. So you stay in your home and then you have guests come.
Well, no, I might do that in the future, but right now I give them the whole house and I kind of go to a different location for the time they're here. But I do have to tend to my chickens and my cats. And they have, I asked them if they'd be willing to take care of them while I'm in Chicago while they're here. They agreed to.
Oh, well, you couldn't put them in better hands, I don't reckon.
So cool. Oh my gosh, I'll take care of your cats and I'll come stay. I'd love to. That would be so fun.
Oh yeah, they're so great.
Where would I be in the country?
You'd be in the beautiful state of Michigan, about halfway to the bridge.
I've not really been to Michigan.
It's pure. They call it pure Michigan.
Pure Michigan. Fun.
Because of the Great Lakes. They're freshwater.
Fun. Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah. Wow. How fun.
It's a great state.
Yes, I'm from Indiana, which isn't quite near there, but yeah, sort of
pretty
a little
near.
sister. Yeah, yeah. So I've been to Michigan many times, and I love it. It's just so beautiful. And I have some relatives who used to live in Marquette in the Upper Peninsula, and now I have some that are in the Sault Ste. Marie, in Sault Ste. Marie.
Wow, both UPs.
Yeah, they're right. Right. Yeah.
So we are on Facebook Live. I guess everybody knows that because they probably had to hit a button, hit something to say you're going to stay. And I haven't started the recording yet, but I can do that right now, Karen, if you're ready. Yes. Karen.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to compete against you at Jeopardy tonight. I never compete against you, but tonight seems like maybe a good time to try to compete with you.
Oh, you're just trying to get back at me for that show. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so I'm going to hit the record button. Got it. Okay, so who do we have to entertain us tonight, Karen?
Well, I would like to welcome everybody to our call. And we're so happy to have Jeannie with us and Jonathan with us and Mark with us. And our special guest speaker is Sue, who is in Montana at the moment. And we are and at many moments, she's in Montana. And we are so glad to have her here. She's very familiar with the Abraham perspective. She recently went on the California up and down the coast cruise. How many days was that? Was that 7?
7 days. Mm-hmm.
7 days. And I just was so fascinated. I've always wanted to get to know Sue better because she's been on these calls with us quite a bit. And I just would love to know more about your experience with that cruise. And then just anything you want to share, if you want to go back to even years ago when you went to the Mexican land cruise, which just got rave reviews. And just anything you'd like to share about your Abe journey or your life in general, just any darn thing. We would love to know. And now, did you want us to share questions and comments throughout, or should we wait till you're done speaking?
Oh, absolutely, ask any questions.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean, I don't have a speech ready to give. We're just going to.
Oh, well, then we're going to click you off.
Oh,
we only allowed prepared speeches. You know better than that.
I don't know if this will work, but I have to tell you that my journey started in 1981 when my husband John, who has now is with me from non-physical. But we were in San Francisco at a conference, and he said, I'm going to make appointments for us to go to the Church of Divine Man in Berkeley. And I went, we're what? And so he took us to this place, this old rickety house two-story old house at the time. And we each went into a room and we had a reading. I had no idea what was happening. And today, can you believe it? I love the universe. Today, I was putting away some things and I just found the drawings that were given to us. I went, oh my gosh, this is mine. And I guess that's my chakra representation. And you see how my body would be perpendicular and the chakra energy is like, whoo, way over here. Look at this. This guy, totally centered and strong.
Oh,
I didn't even know what they were drawing. And I got that. And today and went, oh, he was so grounded and so connected. And I always knew he was. And that just represented it incredibly well. I went, wow, it's taken me a lot of years to even understand where he was. So he introduced me to Edgar Cayce soon after that. And we were in a study group, and that really opened up my mind. I mean, I was a very traditional religion person, as so many of us have been. But I always knew that there was something more, because didn't you wonder when people died, if there wasn't reincarnation or something, where did all those bodies go? Where were all those souls, like just hanging out somewhere in, heavenly bars? I just was always so curious about what happened to those people. So finding out that reincarnation was a thing, just like, yes, of course it is. So then we did, those life regression things where you find out that I killed him in one of his lives. I killed him in this life apparently too, but it was such a sweet journey and such something that we shared outside of our family structure completely. Neither of our families still think we're crazy, but it really led me into feeling okay, questioning everything. And that started getting me really into the Abraham work. So when I started getting the emails back in the early 2000s, that's all I did was read an email every day and go, that's pretty interesting. And thinking, I'm making progress by reading them. And in 2014, I went to one of the Cancun land cruises, because as I said in my bio, I was reading the email and happened to scroll down to the bottom and it said, here it is, here's the information. And I thought, they're talking to me. I could actually do that. Now, I've not been really single and on my own hardly ever in my life. And I choose to fly from Montana to Cancun by myself with an assigned roommate. And I just went. And, it's sort of like finally throwing caution to the wind. Well, one of the early days I was standing in line for the seminar, and I saw this girl and I was so attracted to her. I just thought, you just look like somebody I'd like to know, but you're probably way cooler than I am. You know how we judge ourselves like that. So I had no idea that would ever come to anything. It wasn't much after that she came to me and said, my name is Elizabeth, and I really am interested in talking to you. So that was 7 years ago. Since then, she introduced me to all these other people that she'd met because she'd gone once before. And we now have a circle of 12 women that can go on cruises together, and whoever is available might say, I'd like to go. Is anybody else interested? And it might be 2, it might be 4, it might be, we all went to Alaska together. Hysterically fun. One girl's from Peru, one girl's from Puerto Rico, and then the rest are US, but so great. And then most of us went on the Mediterranean cruise 3 years ago. Time is a little distorted in my mind because of COVID. You know, I don't know when things happened, but every time it's been this group of people, and we create our own fun. We just have so much fun. And I got to observe this one, the two women are a couple and have been together for a long, long time. And I got to observe them speaking Abraham type of conversation all the time. Like, so how are you vibrating about this? Or let's think if we're going to go do that, but let's raise our vibration first. And I'm going, well, this is a new level. I had no idea, you know, that was kind of my goal. So that was a really, really good exposure to be with them on an Alaskan cruise for that much time and see the loving relationship that they could have with each other, not because it was Abraham, but it was certainly enhanced by their Abraham connection and belief system. Yeah, that was just beautiful. So then the next time on the Mediterranean, most of us went again. We've been able to really put together some fun things, and that was I don't know. There's been like 3 recently, so it was in the middle of them, and it was just mind blowing to be there and experience Europe. I've been to Norway and Ireland, but not Europe, so it was such an exposure that I'm anxious, eager, willing, happy to go back. But this is my trip I'm going to take by myself. So if anybody wants to go, and especially if you speak a language, I'm only speaking this one.
I hear you.
So that's all of those things have kind of been accumulating. And then I was figured out about Abraham Fun on Friday nights. And that's been a really big part of changing my view of the world. Some of the speakers have really shaken me out of what I thought was, as much as I needed to know. And I'm blown away by some of the things that I now understand better. Even just last week, was it Rex, I think, said, stop stopping. And I went, oh, that was brilliant. What a simple thing. And I think of it when I'm going, oh, I'll do that later. But the one that impacted me the most was Karen. Now I can't say her name. Okay, you help me.
Lori.
Karen Lori, thank you. Oh my
yes,
God.
Yes.
I'm watching, right, Karen? Listening to her and seeing how well she embodies love. I mean, she says everything is love, and she means everything. Things that we don't agree with, well, that's love. So you can't put it outside of the circle. It's still love. You can choose to look at it or not, but it's still part of what's going on in your world. So a while after that, I decided again, maybe she's talking to me. Maybe I can be in her chronic pleasure coaching group. Because, it's real easy. It's been easy up until now for me to say, I don't know that that's for me. That's for people who really need it. Or, that's whatever the story might be. My stories have been pretty great. I'm a good storyteller. So I've been doing that since now 4 months.
You have, girl.
I'm going to chronic pleasure coaching group for 3 or 4 months. I think it's 4. And we'll continue for at least 1 more month, because having that ability to interact with somebody, I don't really have anybody in my environment here to interact with. And having that and having other people on that ask questions that just, my mind kept going like exploding with new ways of looking at things and new levels of elation and vibration and words to bring into my vocabulary that would really increase that. So during this time, while I've been meeting with that group, then the Pacific Coast Cruise came up, and I said to my friend, yeah, I think that would be a really good thing. Well, I'll tell you, I learned a lot of things on the cruise. Most of them were me personally learning from having someone for a roommate that I didn't know very well. Really good feedback. And I actually came home and wrote a page of reflections on things that she said to me. She's a massage therapist extraordinaire, actually, and feels in her body what's going on in yours that's a challenge. And so she would look at me and say, your right hip is killing me, so I'm going to work on yours. And she would just clear up whatever restriction was going on in my hip. So she opened me up that way. Plus, she's one of those people who's a really straight line thinker, and I'm not. I'm like, we can go lots of different ways, and who wants to play with me? And we were making a plan one day, and she said, I don't want to do that, but you go ahead. And I said, by myself? Well, yeah, you want to do it. And I went, no, see, I only like to do things with other people. She said, well, I'm not going to do it. And, I really had to stop and ask myself, if I ever make the choice to do something, that's just my choice, especially if there's the offering of other people to do it with. And I started really looking at a lot of things. I have 4 kids, and their dad died. John died when they were in their young teens. So we've had a lot of years together. And I would say I'm a great mom. I'm not a great leader of kids. So it was more like the vision of herding cats, because I go, well, I don't know which thing to do first. There they are. So having this reflected to me really has made me stop and think, do I know what I am wanting? Do I really know? And I'll tell you, that was a huge pause for me to ask that at that deeper level. And that's just from her reflecting and me having a chance, because it was just the 2 of us together, of really some time to be contemplative about what that means. She also noticed that my conversations to her felt critical. And I went, oh, I thought I was observational. But if someone else is interpreting it as critical, then maybe it's time for me to shift that. So I've really switched that vibration just since then. That's been a pretty big eye opener. So those were 2 really big pieces of, can I be a leader for myself? That's what it is. I don't have to lead other people, but can I be my own leader? And can my language only reflect love?
Great questions. And what's so amazing, Sue, as you relate this, I mean, it was like your roommate there, at least on that particular cruise, that it sounds like brought so much, shifting and new things in. Whereas, I mean, we just sort of assume that it's going to be Abraham, but it was obviously the whole atmosphere there.
Yeah. And I knew when I said yes to going with her, I knew that this was an opportunity for me to go through a door. I didn't know what it was going to look like, but I knew her well enough to say, she looks at life differently than I do. And that's going to push me a bit. And here I am. Choose me. I'm ready to go. So that was just too fabulous. She also talked to me about letting my body be soft, like let it be soft. And I realized, oh my gosh, I hold a lot of tension, like ready, go, you know. And whew. So that I've had to shift also. And it's still a work in progress, as we all know. It's kind of lifelong commitments that we make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How handy was that? Have that woman right there with you, giving you all that feedback and helping you with your whatever with massage or whatever. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was truly the best of all worlds. Plus, we had a really easy time of being roommates. We had really enjoyed the companionship. It's very fun. So the cruise took off from San Diego and in the evening, and it took that night, the next day, and then we arrived in San Francisco the next morning. So how many, that's 40, like 30 hours. So 2 nights. We were on the ship one day. So we got 2 seminars that first day. That was pretty powerful. We arrived in San Francisco as the sun came up and went under the Golden Gate Bridge. And I kept waiting. I didn't think it was a drawbridge, but I kept waiting for it to open up because I thought, this is a big ship. We just went straight under it. And it was early in the morning, but lots of us got up and went up there and stood and took photos and caught the sun coming up. And oh my gosh, it was the most stunning thing, being part of that energy of excitement. That was tremendous. Then we were in San Francisco for 2 days. And during that time, there weren't seminars. So there were 2 the first day, then 2 days of no seminars, but we'd come back to the ship. We actually had dinner on the ship at night and then stayed because by then we were just kind of used up, tired, and enjoyed ourselves. Didn't do any of the excursions, but we just found our own entertainment and fun things to do. Back on the ship and to Catalina Island. And I'm going to say that took another day. I'm a little fuzzy on this, to get to Catalina Island, which is outside of LA. It's part of LA. And we were there for just one long day, docked in the morning and then got back on the ship at 6. And that was really fun to experience something like quaint and it's touristy, but it's also just really cute. We rented a golf cart, which is what all the tourists do. And you can drive a circle that's 14 miles around to see most of the island. And the golf carts go 14 miles an hour. So you pay for an hour rental. And then if you go longer, you pay the extra. But so that was really fun. You're just chugging along in this whole line of golf carts. What happened there? Something happened there I wanted to share with you. I might have lost it, but it was fun to be there. It was just interesting and fun back on the ship. And then we were on the ship for another full day and had 2 seminars, went all the way to Ensenada. And I hadn't been to Mexico for a few years because of COVID and had kind of forgotten the culture shock of going in and kind of being a tourist and here buy this stuff and by, all that. So that was a big shift in awareness to figure out how do I maintain my center and my love and my kindness and still have a boundary of, that was an interesting challenge for me. So
still sell the chiclets and all the chiclet gum, and is that
bought the chiclet, bought it. Yeah, we were serenaded with Guantanamera over and over. Every time we walked on the street, this guy came up and sang to us.
Oh, that's great.
And then we were back in San Diego the next morning and got off the ship. And they had a quick turnaround. They had people coming on like 2 or 3 hours after we got off. So those that staff, man, they worked so
hustle to clean and all.
Yeah, yeah. But not all the rooms are full. In fact, the ship had 800 people, visitors, I guess, and only 200 ABE people. So you could run into the ABE people so often. It was really fun. We got to chat with a number of different folks. We ate in one dining room at the same table most every night and got to see Esther eating a little ways away and got to know the tables right next to us. And they're not ABE people, but they are. You know how that is. Yeah, yes. They really emanate that energy of love and kindness and community. Yeah.
Sure. To match up with you guys, absolutely, they would.
Yeah. So then now I can go to what the things that I highlighted that I might mention and see what you might have to question about, or if anybody sends a message in or something. I don't know.
This is fascinating because I've never been on an ABE cruise, nor has Mark. We've been on cruises, but we've never been to anything like that.
Oh, wow. If you did one, where would you go? What would you pick?
Probably not Alaska because I'm not a cold weather person. Actually, I'd probably pick a Mexican land cruise if they ever did it again. I am not an adventurer, except in my own silly little way. So I would probably stay on land and I'd go where it's warm.
I would absolutely go back to the land cruise. It was
people rave about them. Yeah.
Beach time every day. And I'm not a beach person. I mean, I'm a Norwegian Montanan, you know. I like cold. And I'm a redhead for real, and I don't do well in the sun. So yeah, I can do it for a week, maybe longer, but not to just
right. It's for a limited time. It's actually really enjoyable, but yeah, you wouldn't just go on and on and on.
Yeah, right. I wouldn't be where I'd retire to. So far I'm retiring to Montana. I have kids on both coasts, so I have plenty of traveling to do.
I guess you do. It's fabulous.
Makes it pretty fun. One of the people who spoke to Abraham a number of times was a movie producer. And he's someone that will eventually be a name that we hear from his questions. You could just tell that he was really going into a high level of thinking for how we wanted to produce movies. So he was very interesting. And one of the things that Abraham said was to practice situation comedies. I thought of you, Karen, because you do practice situation comedy.
I try. I make quite the effort. Yes.
Mark's expense sometimes.
Yes.
And to vibrate so clearly that anyone that comes near me doesn't match and they just move away. And I really love that. And I spent the whole day, building that energy. And that's really the highlight of what I've learned from working closely with someone, in my instance, Karen, really integrating some of that work into my life and finding out, this is one of my biggest tips, we're always recommended to write things out, and I do that a little bit, but I find that if I record into my voice recordings and then I can play it back as many times as I might want to, I can feel my energy rise. And it just, for me, it's an immediate reward. And I like that. So I have like 4 of them. In fact, 2 weeks ago, from Karen's prompting, I recorded one in my own voice of how much I love organization. I love to be organized. I love to, and it goes on and on for a couple minutes is all, but I listen to it repeatedly. Magically, I am shifting my environment. An environment that I've looked around and, you know, when you live in it for so long, you just kind of go, it's not going to change. I'm not going to change. And doing that recording and being able to bring it up every morning and remind myself, oh yeah, I do love being organized. I love a place for everything and everything in its place. And it's just happening. And it's happening in little bits here and there and here and there. And it's magical. So
what a delight. What a great idea too.
That's one of my favorite things that I've integrated. And it's not that she said that so much as I just started recording things that really impacted me and then went, this is my device. I'll tell you what, I love that. Okay. Oh, of course. Oh, so on Sunday, I have to grab something.
I'll be right back too. Can I grab something? I'll be right there.
Time for a cheers. I'm having tea. What are you having?
I'm having, what am I? Oh, I am having a electrolyte mix. And that's what I'm having. How about you, Jonathan? You got yourself something?
It's a beer called Amigos. Something I decided to try. I've got to get a bit more taste for the tequila, and it's tequila flavored beer.
A tequila flavored beer.
Yes.
Be careful. You know what tequila does. You know what?
It makes you happy.
You know, it makes you take your clothes off. That was always the story when I was in college. And,
yeah, I think it's too cold for that.
It worked or not. So one of the things Esther always talks about, of course, is there's two ends of the stick, wanted and unwanted. Well, I get that, but I'm a visual person, a hands-on visual audio. I just having that in my mind wasn't enough. So I gave an Abraham talk recently. And to do that, it was for a small group, but I had to stand up in front. So I made a stick. And hanging from the stick, I had unwanted and wanted and all of the items in between. And I did 8 and above in larger print. So I can now hang this up in my house and as a reminder, because, you know, if it's not in front of me, I might slip and be, you know, sometimes down in doubt or worry or disappointment. Overwhelmment was always a big one for me, which I'm really, really happy to say that's not really so true anymore. That's from working with Karen.
Oh, that's fabulous. If you can move beyond that, that's wonderful.
And resentment was another huge trigger for me. Lots of that going on because my husband died. And I've had life since then, a lot of life since then now, 23 or 4 years or something. I don't know. But it's still wrong. It's still not the way it was supposed to be because I had such a story. So having a chart, and even making this, there's nothing better than teaching what you need to know. As a teacher, I had to learn things better to be able to teach it than to just do it myself, you know. So making this chart, though, really got me in the vibration of what it means to be, up from boredom, up to contentment or hopefulness or optimism, beliefs, positive expectations. I have positive expectations all the time. In fact, I went for a walk today in preparation for tonight. And I was saying, I wonder what'll happen. Tonight's going to be so fun. I wonder what door will open because I'm doing tonight. Oh, it's going to be really fun to see, and I'm ready. So I was just building it all day long. So, and then of course, you all know these: happiness, eagerness, enthusiasm, passion, love, freedom, empowered, appreciation, and joy. We know those words, but seeing it physically like this, and you see how many words are in the unwanted end of the stick. So if you want your stick to be on the wanted end, we really are called to keep that energy at that level. I think that's what impacted me the most, was to lay it out like that and go, wow, that really weights the unwanted end of the stick if I'm not paying attention. And I think that's why I've spent a lot of my life dropping into a negative view of things, because it's simpler to go there. But I don't want to say it that way. I don't think it is. I think it's just habit. Mm-hmm. And, habits, geez, these recordings are helping me break habits that I didn't want, or that I wasn't even maybe aware of, having a thought that was so strong one way that it was preventing me from living the way I wanted to live. So right now I feel like, wow, what's next? Plus, if you watch, I'm not astrologically minded at all, but I can't help but see all the posts about, ooh, it's a big shift right now. All these things are happening. And I'm thinking, I can feel that shift. I truly know that that's happening within me. And I keep saying yes and signing up for things that are going to show me new ways and new ideas, and interact with people who are living a life that's bigger than what I've been doing. So I'm not a young person, and yet I feel like I'm 25, except a wise 25. At 25, I was not making very good choices.
Who was?
Drinking beer and things like that.
I hear you.
And then, when you plunge into all the distractions of life, I had 4 kids in 6 years. So I didn't have time to think about how I was being in the world. I had time to think about, is the laundry clean and what's for dinner? That's about it. So one of the coolest things about the cruise is there were 4 very young people on it, like college age. And they asked questions. And I think Abraham and Esther were so excited to have this younger generation represented that I think all of them were up on in the hot seat at some point or another, and asked thought-provoking questions and would have conversations, because I kind of got to know them a tiny bit, and that were really uplifting conversations. And I was walking with them one day and said, I love that you are learning this information now, and where will you go with it? Abraham is their starting point. What else can happen? And Abraham, I've always thought Abraham was my ending point, but now I'm going, it is for now, but there's more too. There's more. I see your face, Jonathan. And I love, having been raised very traditional Lutheran and then becoming Catholic, I love the freedom to have fun. That's what drew me in, and that's what keeps me here. Lots of other philosophy people in this genre are not just saying we're here to have fun, and I truly agree with it. I think we are.
So too, but yeah, I never heard anybody come up with that. And at first I thought, well, that's unusual, because everybody that I had encountered, just took whatever genre it was, they just took it very seriously. And this, I know it's unique in that way, I think.
Even I attend a New Thought church, similar to Unity, but
yes,
it's Science of Mind. And the thinking is very similar. In fact, I joined it because I can be part of that community, which I need here in Montana. And still, Abraham is a very acceptable topic. In fact, that's where I was giving this talk last weekend. So it fits for me, but it's serious. I mean, it's not serious, but it's just too serious for me. I want to play. I want to laugh a lot, and I want to dance and sing and just have fun. And the more I can do that, I mean, I'm truly convinced that the more I raise my vibration, the better off my kids are without even knowing. The more I'm doing my part to heal the world without the world knowing that I'm doing that. I just think that's where our point of power is. It's right within our heart.
Yes.
Just I'm saying you're very lucky, Sue, that you actually got involved in a church that Abraham's teachings are acceptable. You could find, I've not been involved with these churches, but I do a lot of reading, and you will get it on YouTube, people trying to debunk all this and everything, and you will get certain religious people saying, all it's wrong, Abraham is a demon, they're trying to trick you away from Jesus and all that type of stuff. And I am saying, I just want to say to them, how can you say somebody that their main thing they preach is unconditional love is so wrong? Yeah, they do say about manifesting your desires and all that. But to me, the main message is the unconditional love. And, and I will say this as well. There are times I have drifted, that's the term I use, and engaged with somebody, a Jehovah's Witness, about all different things and everything, and they were in their faith. And I think it was a couple of days later that old quote comes up about Abraham saying, people are following different paths and it's working for them. Let it work for him. Let it be no concern of yours and everything. And I was like, why didn't I see that the other day? It was a case of somebody added me as a friend because they were on another friends list who was an Ava. And it wasn't until they posted something I realised the person was a Jehovah's Witness. Now, I've got nothing against any religions of the world,
right.
Especially now I've gone up a notch and they can believe what they want. But at the time she posted something, and I was like, this isn't the only path. And she went off on one about the Bible and everything, and I ended up, well, have you read the omitted books? I won't go into that deeply. And then I said, on other things, I say, on ancient alien theories, I went on a rampage on it all and everything. And in the end, I just thought, let them be who they are. And I just wish I'd read that Abraham message that day before I engaged with that person. No guilt. I actually thank that the thoughts came forward. I finished.
Thank you. I've been very aware of that too, Jonathan, that a lot of people in my life are on completely different paths. And I don't expect them to see the world the way I see it. I certainly can't see the world the way they see it. So why would I think that they suddenly are going to say, oh, you're right, because they never have before. So why would that shift? But I used to feel the need to convince others, and now I don't. Yes. Because people notice, you're so happy. You exude such joy. Well, I'll be darned, huh? Yeah, I do. Because I'm feeling it. It's not pretend. It used to be pretend. I am an optimist from the word go. I wake up in the morning full of sunshine, ready to play. And I didn't always hold that energy honestly. So I pretended. Yeah. now I don't pretend. And I just did not know that until I'm telling you this right now. And I just had that wash through me of, yeah, I don't have to pretend now. It just is there and it feels so good. So I've really shifted. Shift is happening and I like it.
That's beautiful, Sue. I mean, just you're saying that just, that's so beautiful and so wonderful and so powerful and so everything. And just to be present in this moment, as you said that, I think, and I want to welcome Mona too. And I'm glad that she's here. I just feel like that's just such an important moment. Hi, my dear. Welcome. Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, do chime in if you want to say anything, because like I'm not your speaker, talker, speech giver. I just like
doing a fabulous job. That's all I can say.
And the next thing I highlighted from all the notes I took was this: rather than make things happen, go have fun. And I laughed and said, well, there it is again. Go have fun. And boy, has that, you know, there's just all those things you think, well, but I should do this. Well, and then I started realizing last fall that when I hang laundry on the line, that's a darn fun thing to do. I get to because I live in Montana and we can hang things out and it feels so good. And so I started making up songs like, look at the sky, it's so blue. And, you know, I'm just making up ditties. They don't mean anything except their appreciation. And if that doesn't make hanging laundry on the line fun, I mean, why not make it fun? It doesn't have to be drudgery. I love to cook and I love to chop things up, but that's already fun. I don't like to clean, except now that I've been doing that little recording. Yesterday, I did some whole organization in my bedroom and went, well, that felt really good. That's pretty fun. So I do like to. There I go. Another shift. And then I started asking myself, do I want to do this? Because I've been a yoga teacher and I haven't been doing it because COVID. I got tired of being on Zoom and I just stopped and I haven't resumed. I'm actually now waiting for the guidance, waiting to see, is that what I'm going to do? Or is it something different, something new? I'm kind of a new penny kind of girl. I like things to be new and they can be fresh and feel inspirational. If I go back to it, I'll make it fresh and inspirational. And I don't know yet. Oh, here's a really good one. A woman in the hot seat said she needed to have eye surgery, but she wanted to heal it herself, but she needed it pretty desperately. And said, but can't I heal myself? And Abraham, and her mother offered to pay for it. Abraham said, you can cook by banging two rocks together to start the fire. Or, and really that's all they said. It's like, oh yeah. It's all God. It's all love. Surgery is love. Doesn't have to be, you know, some awful thing we make it out to be. I mean, I'm the first person to avoid doctors and avoid surgery and avoid, but if it's all love, then yeah, what else is there to say, right?
Right. Love it.
And Abraham has said on a few workshops, there is nothing wrong in using medication or, you know, surgery if it's a case of you may have such a high level of resistance that self-healing ability isn't quite kicking in and everything. Yeah. You know, you mentioned Karen Laurie, and she has mentioned how she has like self-healed an eye infection in half an hour, which should have taken a couple of weeks and everything.
Right.
Well, that's how much she is aligned and everything. but you're going to get people on the lower end of the scale who will have resistance. They perhaps just discovered about self-healing, but they're having so much resistance because they've always relied on the medical profession and everything.
Being able to have your entire vibration at a level that your body can be at that level of healing. I think as humans, it's a challenge to stay there for a long enough time with that single-mindedness while life is happening around us. Things come in and you go, oh, I didn't want that to happen. Well, there you go. You just dropped your energy. So yeah, Jonathan, I know she is a rare bird in that arena. She really is. And it's an honor to talk to her and be part of a conversation and hearing her words. I write notes and I rewatch it, and there's so many good things.
Oh, she's a gem. I agree. And I commend you for making that opportunity for yourself to work with her, because she is a rare person, and in a totally wonderful way.
Thank you for saying that, Karen. You know what it really is? It's making a commitment to me.
It is. Absolutely.
So easy. I mean, especially raising 4 kids by myself. What I was doing was like keeping it all together. That's as good as it got for a lot of years. So deciding that I can take care of myself by taking a cruise, by doing this coaching that is taking a great deal of time and attention, and I love it. I love every minute of it, and I love the other people. Zoom is a magical format.
Isn't it?
So close. I've become so close with a woman in Germany because on the Zoom meetings, we look at each other's eyes and there's just this knowing that we have something. It's so much fun. So technology, I mean, it's just like banging 2 rocks together. Technology is absolutely one of the best blessings. Absolutely.
It is. It's phenomenal. What a time that we live in to be able to do this, to connect like this.
I had this when it happened in 1918, and no way of interacting, no way of knowing how your friends and family were doing. Oh my gosh. Oh, good one, Jonathan. I love that. Yes, Abraham is here. Yeah. So the big catchword that I wrote down a few times is trending.
Yes.
Trending. Move in the direction of the thought that feels better. And that's your trending energy.
Ooh.
And being aware, not this thought, that thought. So tell yourself you're making the switch. Really make it an obvious choice. I like that. How you know when you're trending to a higher level is how you feel. And then what manifests. Staying that until it manifests. And then I wrote myself a note that said, keep the cruise energy.
Yes.
That's really settled into me too, because it's so great to be in a room, and we're so fortunate to be in this huge auditorium with 200 people, and to start with, they had us sit really, really far apart. After the first day, we're all down in front. But, we'd all had everything to be able to go on the cruise. You had to have proof of vaccination and a COVID test less than 2 days old. So you just, yeah. Oh, there's a guy who moved his family to Puerto Rico with 5 kids because he got the inspiration. And he took his job and he was going to do it online and just pulled everything up. Discovered very quickly his love for tennis. And what's happened, and I just love thinking of this, what's happened is that he's become an extremely good tennis player. Mark probably would like to know this guy. He's become very good, very competitive, but in a fun way. He just loves it. And he loves spending this time with his kids. The magical thing of what is happening is that his business is thriving and he's not having to do the number of hours that he had to do before he moved there. I mean, isn't that an inspiration to think, wow, what could I lighten my load about? I mean, I'm not employed, but what can I let go of and create more fun so everything else is easy? And I'm seeing that happen too. So, yeah.
Yes.
His story was so compelling.
I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, she talked about the creation box. And, I had this, when I was graduating from high school, my dad told me I had to go to college. I had 3 siblings and we all had to go to college. And he didn't go to college because World War II started. So he had to work the ranch. And I'm a student, but I didn't really want to go to college. I wanted to be a flight attendant because I wanted adventure. I wanted to go places and see things and experience a bigger picture. And I called to make an appointment and was talking to the woman, and my dad hung up the phone. And I didn't know at that time, I didn't have a voice. I did not have anything to say about it. So I went to college and I fooled around and drank a lot and it was a mess for a lot of years. And at the end of my junior year, I went, I might have to graduate. What do I have credits in? So I looked at my transcript and figured out what I had the most credits in, and I finished it. I became a home economist, which now is called a family and consumer scientist. But I had no intention of doing that or being that. Then I ended up running a preschool, and then I taught high school in home ec, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun, both of them. And high schoolers and preschoolers are the same thing. There's so much. The exact same thing. Preschoolers are going, look at me, look what I brought. And high schoolers are going, don't look at me. And I think that represents all of us, doesn't it? Look at me. And now I believe that the person that has to look at me is me. I have to. It's my job. So the creation box, my thought to put in there was that I didn't get to be a flight attendant, and that now I know my heart's desire and I manifest the relationship that serves me and the opportunities that serve me, because now I'm in charge of it. And so then I started writing all the things that I wanted that to manifest as. That was pretty fun, right in the middle of all that thinking of Abraham words. And then I'm just writing and feeling the joy. Yeah. Any input?
I think we're going to have some in due time, but this is just so darn interesting.
Well, good. So, please, Jonathan, speak.
I was just saying the magical creation box and everything. When I first read about it, of course, in Ask and It Is Given and everything, I just thought the first bit, I'd listened to all the people, law of attraction related, before seriously getting into Abraham. And of course, they were the magical creation boxes. It was all vision board, cut out your pictures, write your notes and everything. And then I heard straight away, when I heard about the magical creation box, it was a case of, oh, it's like a vision board, but in a box. And of course, originally, if you go back into asking it is given, how I read the magical creation box it was like pictures or even a check, a fake check, put it in the box and leave it to it. It wasn't until Abraham now, from 2020 up to present day, where Abraham was saying about the magical creation box, it's not just pictures, right intentions and put them in the box and everything. So it is a pretty powerful tool.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you say that, because whoops, I'm getting feedback. I don't know why. Oh, that's gone. I made one a couple of years ago. Fun, just some fun wrapping paper with doves on it. I thought it was so pretty. But what's in there? Really nothing, a card that somebody gave me, but nothing that I intended to put in there because I really didn't get it. I didn't understand it. But now I could put in, like, I want my energy in this arena to be cleaned up. But that isn't even, that's not creating. That's just, I have a funny story to tell you, but I want to be able to put in there things that I want to change, to shift, not a picture of a car. I can buy a car.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't want it to be about possessions. I want it to be about how I am, who I am in the inside. And that's what I think I had to clarify before I could really make use of it.
I get where you're coming from, Sue, but all I was saying is it's like any process. Don't write something to put in the box to try and force it. It's a case of allowing it. That is where so many people, especially early on in the journey, it doesn't matter who the teacher, law of attraction teacher is, they start doing processes and they're doing them to try and force a change, a situation or something, instead of just used it as a focus to allow the situation to change and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that Esther talked about next was translating the vibration that we have so that you bring new subjects up to the speed of where you want your vibration to be. And I really like that because I might be vibrating high in this on this day and on, you know, what I've been thinking about today. But what happens? One of my kids comes home this week and that's going to shift some things. It's possible that he and I have had some challenges in the past. So I'm going to work. I don't like work. I'm going to create the fun of bringing that vibration up within me so that it's easier and so that it is fun. And I just think that, I think previously I've been kind of stuck on thinking everything had to be up. But now I'm thinking it's kind of this juggling act of, you know, raising this up and let that get to a comfortable place and hold it there. And then the next thing that comes forth is ready to be raised. I'd love feedback from your own stories about that. Oh, if an idea comes and soon is followed by doubt, because that happens, it may not have been a clear vibration. You've probably heard that before. It's not very clear.
Yet when desire outweighs doubt, it will manifest. It's just the hard way of doing it, the long way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I think one of the pieces that really made sense to me after this trip and more recently is when you look at the wanted and unwanted stick and where things are vibrating. If I have a question that's in the lower part of the scale, of course I can't answer it without building up my energy to the higher part. And having that visual that I made to make more sense to me really helped gel that. And I'll tell you, I was led to make that visual. I had no idea what I was going to do. And suddenly I'm finding this coming out of me. And I've experienced that more and more recently. And if that isn't the most fun, I was at the grocery store recently and I picked up a head of broccoli and went, I don't think I really need any broccoli, but for some reason I'm buying this. And I bought it. And 2 days later, I thought, I'm going to invite some friends over for brunch. What will I have? Oh, I could have a broccoli quiche. And it's like, what? And I bought that broccoli. Who knew? And so that stuff now makes me laugh. And it seems to be happening more and more and more. When it's the right time, things just open up.
They do. It's so fun. Even the smallest. We had a little thing last Saturday. I wanted to get a turkey because I was laying in all of the provisions for Thanksgiving for a small group of us, about 8. And so I just got everything. And then I saw that they didn't have any of the brand of turkey that I wanted. And Mark and I were looking, I said, I want Butterball. And we were looking all around. No, it wasn't anywhere there. And I thought, well, phooey, because maybe supplies will get a little low closer to the holiday. I kind of wanted to get today, but oh well, it didn't pan out. And then my daughter called me this week and reminded me that again this year she's going to be given a turkey for Thanksgiving. And so she will be providing, and she did that last year. And so I thought, aha, that's why they didn't have the brand that I went to get. Of course, there wasn't a single one in the store because it was already being taken care of. And I was really glad because I didn't need 2 turkeys.
And at what time do we finally start to go, oh, I know this is already the universe planning this? You know what? When do we start to really see that? I bet you do now. Do you see that?
Yeah, more and more.
Yeah.
More and more and more and more and more. And I won't say that I don't go times where I don't see it, but now when I don't experience that magic, life seems really blah, because I'm getting really used to those synchronicities being regular and then things working out in ways that I didn't anticipate necessarily. And the magic of that is just, it's like a whole different life than just, that making things happen. It was like, because I'm a maker of lists. Mark knows. And I just always had that. And I'm very, very thorough. And I'm very good with my action journey, but that only could take me so far. It's when you start to leverage the power of the universe and you start to get that magic coming in where, I thought that didn't work out, but oh yes, it did work out. And just stuff like that. Then you just get a hunger for it. You just, and that's where I am kind of right now in my life. It's like, I want more of that. Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, I get really fired up about that kind of sweetness, that living that. I'm not so interested anymore in just regular life, I mean, regular life is wonderful, but I want that magic. I want to feel that, that we're cooperative components. I really like that kind of business. And that's what I want now, because I've just had enough of it, that it's too flat without it.
It's kind of like the best dessert, isn't it?
Yes.
I really want to have that again. And in fact, desserts and things, I mean, I ate desserts on the cruise every day because, there they are and they're quite delicious. I don't hardly ever have dessert anymore. And I'm a I was a sweet tooth person, but like life is sweet. I don't really need to make it sweeter. And I know I spent a good part of my life eating to bring in that sweetness. And now I don't have to. What an amazing feeling of freedom to not be ruled by, oh my gosh, I need sugar. Yeah.
Well, Karen Laurie is a perfect example of not having had sugar for some years now. And she just would so concur with what you said. Like, her life is just so sweet. And her interactions are so sweet that sugar would just be too much, you know? And she's got this sweetness of source.
And she's so genuine about it. She truly is. She truly loves every human. And she tells stories. She told a story about somebody that was like a neighbor that was doing some crazy thing in the neighborhood and kind of causing problems. And she said to us, he's so cute. He's so cute and funny how he thinks that that's going to be the thing to do instead of going into a different direction. And it's like that perspective that really makes me step back and go, oh, everyone's so cute. They're all so cute. We're just such cute humans. Even those people that are in political power, and you look at them and go, really? That's, you know? But they have their own stuff and their own journey. And I just look at it and go, oh yeah, you had to do that. It seemed crazy, but who am I to know what your journey was? And I love being able to release things like that. Love it.
When you get so aligned that you can just love and appreciate anyone and everyone, you know, it can be a cop-out. You all know my ABC games we've played on here. I do self-love, but I went for another version, and it just was for a few weeks. I went like through the alphabet and thought of people, be their first name or surname, and say, such and such, I love and appreciate you. Such and such, I love and appreciate you. This went on for about 4 weeks when I got to a point of, you know, I'm not going to name names. And it's not a cop-out. I love and appreciate everybody for whatever they bring to the table, wherever they are in their journey, my journey. I'm just going to give them the love and appreciation that they are worthy of, because everybody is worthy of my love and appreciation. Everybody is worthy of everybody's love and appreciation. I don't care who you are, your ethnicity, your gender, you are going to get my love and appreciation. If you don't want to accept it, that's up to you. But you are going to get my love and appreciation because I love and appreciate everybody. And that's where I am in my journey.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Like the mini rampage.
Yeah. I love that.
Rampage.
I love that, Jonathan. That's beautiful. And just think how boring it would be if everybody was like me. That would be so dull. How would I know what I liked if everybody was a cookie cutter version of me? It's not any fun. And another piece of this that just blows my mind is every single human is living a different experience. That's like, that's so incredible. Why would we ever think we can understand everybody? It's impossible. Even though my sister and I raised very similarly, married similarly, had a bunch of kids, so many things alike, boy, are we diverse in so many aspects of our life. Happily, we get along super well and we're really, really good friends. And it's just, it intrigues me. Yeah. The whole being able to love and appreciate everyone, people of religions that seem, you know, way outside the box. How about those Sikh people, S-I-K-H, those people in British Columbia? Do you know about this, Jonathan? in British Columbia, they've had horrible flooding and storms, and people are out of homes and such. Sikh people came in and fed, I think, 600 people. And they even paid to have meals on helicopters taken into where people were isolated. It's just, they set up a whole, like a cafeteria at a school or something, I don't know where, and just did this whole assembly line. And this is what they do. They feed people.
Wow, how precious.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Yes.
Looking for the good. I love that.
Along those lines, I had a fun little interchange with my ex, or soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law, who's very dear to me, and she's leaving a kind of organized religion, and she knows that I left organized religion decades ago, and she's just seeing some of the things that she really doesn't like about it, and then she's looking back over her life and feeling like, I was really taken in by that. She's kind of going through that. And I too, I kind of went through that years and years ago. And she says, don't you just feel like it's so just, I don't know, ridiculous, or just, we were bamboozled or whatever. It's just, don't you find it just hard to believe that people can even believe it? And I mean, she was Catholic and I was evangelical Christian, so a little difference there. But I just said, the farther away I get from it, the more I love it. She was like, what? We were talking on the phone, and she's like, and how would that be? And I said, it's like, I know I felt angry with it at first when I first left it, but more and more and more, I just see those paths. Those are, just as Jonathan says, those paths are right for a lot of people. And there are people who are thriving under, in those conventional religions, and they mean the world to people. There are people who just treasure those teachings, as rigid as they might seem to us. So I said, ironically, I find that I actually love those. I love that. I just love those religions. And I said, you may at some time sort of feel a little differently than you feel now, or you may not. Doesn't matter. But as I told her that, I had that realization that I not only did I make peace with more conventional religion, but I do love it. I love seeing people go to church. I love the community it gives them. I love the beliefs that it gives them, because it gives them comfort, it gives them happiness, it gives them resilience. And how can that be a bad thing? And again, it doesn't matter that I don't believe it anymore. That's irrelevant. Those are good things for people that it works for. And so we just have this really sweet little brief interchange.
That's so great. I want people to just respect that I make this choice. And so why wouldn't I respect them in return for making the choice they're making? I don't want to make them out to be bad or a bad choice, because then that's reciprocated. Why do I want that? And
right, that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I've kind of gotten to the point too where I don't really care if they respect it or not. As far as I can't control if people respect me or not. And it's been so freeing to me to say, I guess I don't really care, because I'm going to believe what I'm going to believe. And you can say I'm crazy. I have been called that on occasion by family members, and it did kind of hurt me at the time. But I thought, if I'm going to respect them, whether they respect me or not. And why do I respect them? Because it feels so darn good to respect. And I'm a respecter, and I'm a lover, and I love. Yeah. It just feels good to give that out. But you're right, though, it does come back to us. I mean, it's law of attraction. It will come back.
my family doesn't think I'm crazy, but they do think I've really gone rogue. You know, you are so woo-woo. I don't even know where you came from. I know. And I came from the same place you did. And by golly, look at what I did with it. And look what you did with it. My conservative brother that, you know, he's so conservative. It's like, whoa. But we have a fun relationship anyhow. So life is very good that way.
Well, someone calls you crazy, do the same as me. Someone calls you crazy, weird, woo-woo. Oh, I love that word, woo-woo.
You too.
You know, any of these like things that you're not all there things, crazy, weird, woo-woo.
Yeah.
Some people are in the UK, you're 3 cans short of a 6-pack and things like that. all these types of things like you're not normal. You know, oh, that word normal. Who wants to be normal? Anyway, to finish it off, anybody who says crazy, weird, woo-woo, yahoo, or anything like that, I just look them in the eye and say, you know something? Thank you for the compliment. It means I'm different and I like being different.
Me too. Me too. Oh my gosh. I love to be myself and not try to, yeah, so it's so good. I love this statement, and I'm sure you all know this. I don't listen all the time. I don't sign up for all the Saturday posts or talks, so I'm not as current in those as I might be. Lesson 8 on an emotional scale is self-inflicted victimhood. I went, oh, wow. Wow. Resentment, self-inflicted victimhood. That doesn't feel so good. I didn't like that at all. And man, it just was like a knock in the head. Oh, I'm not going there anymore. And here's where I wrote myself, make an emotional chart with color designations for 8 and above and blah, blah, blah. And really, I wrote myself a note back then to make that chart. And then one day I just ended up making it. So good. The next topic that really struck me was her talking about dreams. And I know she talks about dreams on the podcast, and I haven't been listening. Mark, your screen sharing. Did you know that?
Yeah, I'm about to do something here.
Oh, cool.
It kind of worked it differently. Hold on. I don't know why I did it that way. Hold on. Sorry. It usually gives me an option, but go ahead.
Dreams are evidence of how you are trending. Flying represents or is the freedom of connection to your inner being. Someone creating a TV show by writing, choosing characters, etc., is doing exactly what we are all called to do. Anyway, oh, that's such a fun way of looking at it. Scripting your life. You know, that's one thing, but to think, I'm writing my own TV show and I'm the star. I'm that girl.
Yes, I love it.
But that kind of goes away from the dreams. I'm curious to hear what Esther is saying these days about dreams, because I've not been part of that conversation. Can I put that on you to say more about it?
Definitely. But the thing is, like I say, I am an aberholic and I am up to date on the nows and everything. And unless I've missed it, because I will be honest, I listen to a lot of Abraham stuff now for feel-good stories, not questions. But the one thing that Abraham has always said about dreams, it's not necessarily what the dream involves. It's the emotional feeling within the dream and the emotional feeling when you wake. And I do dream, and you know, I'll have weird dreams. Running across an ocean of custard. There, you want a weird dream. And it's a case of, you know, how do you feel in the dream? And when you wake, and you know, you could get somebody, I'll use that example, running across an ocean of custard, and they could be like thinking, goodness, if I slip, I'm going to drown in this ocean of custard. And another person could be having the same dream, feeling invincible, thinking, look how fast I'm running. I'm staying above this, I should be sinking. Oh, this is brilliant and everything. And of course, it's the emotion within the dream. And it's a case of, you know, you could have a dream and your emotions within the dream are indifferent. You wake up and you're feeling appreciative, love, full of joy. It could be just a release. You know, a dream sometimes for some people are entertainment. But the bottom line is, from what Abraham's teaching, it's not exactly what the dream is, it's how you're feeling in the dream. And of course, going outside of Abraham and everything, you'll get dream interpreters, and they always say flying unaided like Superman, or as they did in the Sarah books, it is meant to be a very, very good dream. It's meant to be showing good things and everything.
Yeah, I don't think they've changed much over the years. I haven't heard any kinds of significant variations at all. It's always about how it felt, how you felt, just what Jonathan was saying. How did you feel in the dream, and how did you feel when you woke up? That's the message. It's because so many people say, well, this is a symbol of that, and that's a symbol of that. And Abraham has never taken that direction. Now, we had a woman in Abraham Fun, I guess it was just a week or so ago, and she said that she had a dream where she aligned with something that she wanted, I believe it was, and then she felt that in her, and then what happened was that in real life she then proceeded to align and manifest this thing. And so her question to the group was, could it be that we actually can get into alignment in our dream state, and then from that place, then we see the results? And I had to say to her, from what I know of Abraham, that actually we don't align during our dream state, because it's just kind of not how it works. We are mainly in non-physical when we're dreaming, and our we don't have it activated. Our attraction is not being activated. And so that comes after the dream. But she felt so strongly about it. And I thought, well, if that interpretation feels good to you, I didn't say it, but I should have, by all means, believe that you did align in your dream, and then it came through, and because you just automatically aligned after the dream. But even though it's not how Abraham teaches it, if that feels good, and she did really think that's what happened, and she says, "Well, I'm going to look around and for more of for another Abraham explanation." And I thought, well, so be it, because it just felt so good to her, and she was just flying so high by thinking that. So again, we're brought back to, there's just no really right or wrong formula, other than knowing that if something feels good to you, you are aligned, and however somebody wants to think about dreams, if it feels really, really good to them, I think Abraham would far rather them think that way than to just go down the line of the pure Abraham explanation. Yeah.
That post, I wish I'd seen it, because I've got the answer for her. And I would say, sweet child, you didn't have what was called a dream. You had a premonition that you acted upon. You saw it coming before it happened, and that is why it manifested and everything. That would have been my answer to that.
That would be a good answer, absolutely. And Abraham certainly does. You know, when we align, we have knowledge that we wouldn't otherwise have. We have senses of things that we wouldn't necessarily otherwise have. Sometimes it seems significant. Other times, like today, I told Mark we had a new dermatologist, a guy that looked about 16, and I just had this sense of kind of what he was going to look like. He's going to have black glasses, dark hair, and a white coat. Well, of course, but anyway, and he did. He had that, and so as you just get those little things, and sometimes they're big things. But the main thing that we want to use is our emotions, as opposed to these little things that pop up here and there. But those little things are a lot of the fun of it all. And we do get these glimpses of, oh, yeah, that's going to come. And, oh, yeah, so, yeah, good point, Jonathan.
I'm going to remind everybody about dreams, okay? Can I do this? Can I interject something here about dreams?
Please do.
Do you ever remember when dreams happen? We think they're happening while we're deep in sleep in the, like one with our inner being, but Abe says they're kind of actually quickly downloaded into our beingness as we're waking up. So can dreams impact our lives? Can dreams impact our vibration? Is the answer in my mind absolutely yes, because what happens really is when you remember a dream, when you wake up, you are woke up and you're remembering the dream. And it encourages us to think about how we felt in the dream. That's, if you want to interpret a dream, just think about not what happened, but how you felt. And there's two things that I do remember about dreams and conversations about dreams for me. One is, it is a way that you can look at, and it'll be an indication to you of how you're vibrating. Maybe how you're vibrating on a subject. So if there's something going on and you feel excited or fearful or whatever, it's an indication of how you're vibrating on something. And you can use that because, okay, if you're aware of how you feel right now on something, that's a really good thing. If you wait until it manifests into something before you realize what's going on. So you have a feeling, which is a indication of how you vibrate.
Right.
And then there's a manifestation, which also lets you know how you've been vibrating. But and a dream can be used kind of like in between that. It's kind of like it's a manifestation that really isn't a manifestation that you can look at, that you can indicate, you can interpret from your dream how you're vibrating on a subject without having something extremely good or extremely bad actually manifest. And then, maybe in some of those cases. So I just want to point out everything that I think what we're doing when we recall a dream, we are in physical, we're awake, and how we do what we do. So that lady, when she was saying, hey, there was some kind of feeling, something happening in a dream, and right now I'm awake and alert, and it's raising my vibration. It actually put me in her interpretation obviously put her in a high level of expectation of something that she wanted to happen. So therefore it had to come. So yeah, so like Karen says, it's how you can make it to be whatever you want it to be. And I'll add what I do with sleep is every night I go to sleep thinking something that I want. It's almost, when I was a bowler for 8 years, I went to sleep bowling, and now I'm a tennis player. So every night I go to sleep, I go to sleep hitting tennis balls, playing matches. And all I know is I feel like it absolutely improved my bowling skills because I actually practiced as I was going to sleep. I don't know how it happens. All I know is that I felt really good. and now it's helping my tennis improve. So I don't know how that necessarily fits. I'm just saying that's, and I go to sleep trying, I'm attempting to play tennis matches as I go to sleep, and it always feels good. And I go to sleep like that, always.
One thing I find is I've got to be very careful if I decide to like watch a certain film before I go to bed, because as soon as I nod off, I end up not exactly in the film, but when I wake up, I've had a dream related, like a few bits and pieces from the film and me adding to the script. And then when I wake up, I think, why did you dream that? And it says, do you remember what you watched before you went to bed last night? And I'm like, yeah, and that's it. And I do believe that certain things that you may watch, even read, listen to before you go to sleep can influence dreams to an extent. Not totally, but to an extent.
Karen and I have an agreement. We will always, always, always say, we never discuss with each other anything that's not fun, doesn't feel good before we go to bed. We just don't do that. We established that a long time ago. I'm saying, usually Karen takes the lead on about everything we do. That's law of attraction aid stuff, because she studies it like nobody. But that's one of the things that I brought. I said, nothing ever. I mean, just we know what is challenging to each other, some little subjects of a person or something going on, whatever. Yeah. But we don't bring that stuff up at nighttime. Once we go to bed, it's all happy stuff. Always.
Karen has been a big inspiration for me. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, and me too.
Yeah,
of course.
I haven't liked watching programs that make me feel edgier for a long time. Not for a long time. The last really scary movie I went to was The Shining, and I didn't sleep that night. It was awful. It was an awful experience. It was so real and it was so frightening, and so I carried that energy. And even if my husband John and I would see a commercial for it and go, oh geez, don't look, because it was that impactful. So, but you just made me think of something. We have grooves in our brain, right? And you're improving your tennis groove, which I think is a hoot. And why not? That's wonderful. It's something you enjoy. You're good at it. It makes you feel good. Why not? Well, I sometimes play games on my phone. And I like to play wordscapes because it, makes my brain do the word thing. And I like that challenge. I played it for so long that I saw the games like over and over and over, and I thought, oh, I'm really bored with this. So I'll do something else. I brought in one of those games that drops shapes down and you move it or something. I can't remember, but you had to arrange the shapes and then the line disappears. I played it enough, and it didn't even take that much, that if I was looking at something across the room, I would start in my mind dropping shapes down to fill in the space around it. And I went, oh my God, I'm creating a groove in my brain around that video game. And it was like the best wake-up call for me to see how quickly that can happen if you focus in on something that just changes something. It switches. It was weird. So I took that one off and went back to playing dumb old wordscapes because I haven't found anything I like better. And now I'm not as interested, so I don't play very often. But if you're standing in a line or something, I've admired everybody, then I wanted to do something. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that is interesting. Right. When you focus, when you totally focus on something, you're creating some grooves in that brain.
That sounds like Tetris.
It does sound like The game Tetris.
Tetris. This was a different version, but I played Tetris a long time ago. My kids introduced it to me. You know, this was when it was new. And I started playing it and I could feel my blood pressure rise because I'd get so frantic about it. And I went, okay, so something's not very good about this. I became so competitive and I didn't like that. I like to be competitive, but not in that way. Not in a frantic, didn't like that frantic energy. Yeah.
I've just got an image in my mind about a parent coming up behind a child playing a game on a console, and it doesn't matter what game is.
Mm-hmm.
And the parent saying, "Oh, you're wasting too much time playing that game. I wish you'd get outside and do something else." And then I'm going back on something about a hot seater who's saying about her children playing too many games and she wants them to get out. And then she's saying what the children want to get into when they're older, leave school. And Abraham was like, leave them to it, because these two children seriously wanted to get involved in computer coding, programming and everything. And there's games. So much so, I'll see a child playing on a console now, even at a friend's house, and I'll just say to them, is that game fun for you?
Yeah.
And if they said, not really, I'll say, well, find a game that's fun.
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and that's the thing, you know, I do play computer games here and there, but I play them for one thing, fun and a bit of release. And even Esther does.
Yes.
She like games that she'll play just because they are fun, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right, Jonathan, and you brought up something that I think is really, really important. One of my kids was that, and he's now a computer engineer and does extremely well. So, and he even has said to me, so Mom, see, I loved it and I love the workings of it. And that's why this has been so good. But what it reminds me of is that our kids come not so that we can teach them, but so they can teach us. And that was one of my biggest lessons, having 4 kids and having their dad die. And I'm going, wait a minute, who's in charge here? And I know I was the adult, and yet I kept learning more and more things and expanding myself because I had all these different personalities and different views of the world to interact with. So what a fabulous exposure to the possibilities of life.
Yes, yes, indeed. And probably you felt, I mean, I think most of us have the impetus that we want to control our kids and just protect them and instill every good thing in them. But when you had those 4 and it was only you, I mean, it must have felt very impossible to really control them like some parents, you know, would be inclined. It just wasn't feasible.
Like my dad controlling my choice to not be a flight attendant, I didn't have the power to say anything different. My kids had all the power, and some of them used it well and some of them not so much, but that was they knew it was, and they've all done well. I mean, they're all happy people, which isn't that the best? Yeah. And they're growing people. They're growing, they're learning. And I am being the example of staying youthful, staying healthy, staying fit as much as I can, because it's important to me to last, to be vibrant for my grandchildren, of which there's only 2 small ones. I'm waiting for more. But whatever, I love the 2 I have. It's just delightful. But I want to be able to play with them and take care of them and help them.
Absolutely.
So what an impetus to, you know, maintain. And Abraham helps keep us young. That whole philosophy helps keep us young.
It does in every way. And we understand we don't have to deteriorate. We don't have to be on a time frame where, well, everybody else is going downhill. And why would I not also? We know we don't have to subscribe to that anymore. And just having that relief and release of not having to feel so responsible for other people and then what they think of us. And it just takes a huge amount of stress off of us, which is really what's because, Mark, tell them what your cardiologist
I was just about to do that. I went to see my cardiologist. I had a thing called a AFib. It's a little electrical flap thing. It's a very minor little procedure and they fix it. It's called an ablation, whatever it was, a couple of years ago. But anyway, it got me to get to see this very cool cardiologist guy, Dr. Bajaj. He's a really big guy. I mean, he's a very experienced guy. He owns a whole practice and stuff. So he's really, really something. So I went to go see him just on a 6-month checkup Wednesday. And he said to me, when I mentioned that I'm kind of like a health coach, I'm retired, I just have some people I help. And the time before that, he actually walked me around the office, showing me the people in his office that work for him and saying, this is the guy I was talking about.
Wow, that's cool.
And like, he's proud to walk around with me and stuff. So this time he told you, so you're a health coach. He said, are you looking for clients? I said, well, not really. I'm just, I just help some people, and, I'm not really like going out and trying to build any kind of business or anything like that. I just help people because I like to help people. And he asked me some more questions, and he says, I have some people. Something that he said that was, when I knew that this was the right thing, he said, well, I told them I tell people how to eat. I teach people about nutrition, exercise or movement, and most importantly of all, how to think healthy. And I said, because if they don't think healthy, then the other two aren't going to help them anyway. So that's where I lead. That's what I lead with. And then a few minutes later, he came back with, this is the cardiologist, older guy, been doing this for a long time. He says, heart health is here. It's in the mind. Healthy hearts and unhealthy hearts comes from the mind. It's the most important thing about heart health. And he said, please leave my nurse. And I did. I left her a couple of cards in my business cards. And he says, I'm going to have some of my patients referred to you if you don't mind. Would that be okay? So he wants to send some of his heart patients to me to help them become healthy. Maybe because I am very, very healthy. I'm just really healthy. I'm really healthy. And he knows that. And he's a doctor, and he can, he knows all the stuff that's going on in my body. So I felt really good about that. And to have him know that it's, heart health is first and foremost, and most importantly, the stuff that you're thinking in your mind that's a good thing for me. I told the nurse, I said, I do everything. I don't stress about anything. I just do everything. Everything is easy for me. So I said, she said, well, I got some people I'm sending over to you. I said, I like to play with nice people. Yeah. She said, oh no, I got some nice people for you. So anyway, so that's the deal. I'm going to have, and if I don't, it's okay too. If they don't get around to it or whatever, if somebody changes it, but it should make me feel really good that my cardiologist, one knows the importance of the brain, how important it is, knows that my health comes from that, and that he wants to refer, he wants this almost 70-year-old guy to help some of his heart patients get healthy and think healthy. So, anyway, felt good. Thank you, Karen, for thinking of that.
What better person than you? The person who's living it. And the doctor sits there in his white coat, and we don't know that he lives it. He probably does, but we don't know as the consumer. You live it and know how to live it.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. So
it did tickle me that when Mark said that, he says, you know, people with heart trouble, it's right here. I've never actually heard a conventional physician be able to subscribe to that, and I've tried to put that out there to them, but they're like, maybe a little bit, but no. So I thought that was rather dramatic. Yeah, and I love that he had that confidence in Mark too.
All in the mind and everything. For a while, and this is pre-law of attraction, Abraham, I was aware of it, but not what it was called, if you know what I mean. And all this in the mind and everything. For a long time, I was on medication for heart palpitations and everything. And yes, I do get minor flutters here and there still for everything, but I'm not on medication. And if I do feel something, I'm straight up here and it's like, and within a few moments, a few deep breaths, sometimes it can go on for a bit. It's out of alignment. So it's meditation. It all drops back into alignment and everything. So what I was saying about in the mind, fully agree with and everything.
Yes.
Right.
I remember you sharing that, Jonathan, before, and how you made progress with that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Goes right along with.
I love hearing that, because it's a piece that one of my next things is to release some medication that I'm on. And you brought up a thing that's right here that I wrote down. Breathe 3 to 5 times really slowly and feel your level of allowing. And notice each breath, if it's feeling a little higher, a little higher. And it's exactly what you're saying. What am I telling myself? And doesn't it all match together? The Tetris game, setting that groove of competition, making everything fit, or setting the groove of, I love my body, I love my good health, I love to play tennis, so it's just really, these grooves in our brain are really powerful. We have so much power over what that can be. And that's why I think I'm really loving what I record on my phone, because I'm creating a new groove with those words, and they're in my voice. So I'm telling myself, this is who you are, and how empowering that is. I really encourage people who might end up listening to this later to try recording things in your voice. My daughter said, because I sent her one to uplift her day, and she said, oh, how did you know I needed that? Well, I'm just smart like that, you know. But she said, I said, you can do this for yourself. And she said, oh, I could never do it in my voice. And I said, well, one day you'll be able to, because you are worth it and your love. And I want you to find a place where you start to own that. And she went, oh, like, I could do that. So anyhow, that's an aside, but it really fits together so well. And this
Sue, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Have you heard the term trending?
Yes.
You mentioned trending, that she's been, they use that on cruise. And
yeah, I'm sure they're using it now. When you were saying you're creating a new groove, is that, how does that relate to the trending? Is that the same?
Well, trending, I mean, I had to look up the word trending and go, I'm not exactly sure, but Esther uses it all the time. I wrote the word trending on all kinds of the topics.
Right.
But it's really trending towards which vibration, which number, which level of wanted am I trending on? That's really how she kept using it. Am I trending towards feeling better? Am I trending towards feeling worse? So paying attention to where that line is going up and down.
And to me, when you were saying creating a new groove, and I wrote it down, I only like really, really, really impactful things. So creating a groove. I love that term that you use. You're creating a groove.
That's a real brain research term. And I don't remember, there's a doctor named Dr. Amen that wrote a brain book that's supposed to be the best one ever. And I have not read it. I love to learn about things, but I'm not necessarily like Karen going to sit down and study all the words. It's too many words for me.
Read it.
Too many words.
I'm with you.
I'd rather play tennis.
Yeah.
And it might be, I don't know if it's Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton, who talks about creating grooves in your brain and how we can create ones that are things that we want to create, or we can stay stuck in a groove of habit. So yeah, it's learning to pay attention to that. All of it, our brains are so malleable. We can change so much about it. Jonathan.
Yeah.
I was just confirming what Sue said. It was Bruce Lipton who said about creating the grooves.
Yeah.
And I think if you talk to our friend Karen, she'll confirm that.
Yeah, because she's a good friend of his. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So one of the hot seat people was I wrote down Mark the computer guy. So there you go, Mark. And he said, when I'm introducing a new system, I'm so careful and aware of introducing one change at a time. And then he went on to say, we humans introduce so many changes that we then don't know what's affecting us, what's improving, what isn't. I went, that's, yeah. Because now I want it all right now, different, everything different. Let's fix it all. Yeah. So really staying focused on which thing is trending right now. I'm just going to start using the word.
Yeah. Oh, we should. We should. It's a good word. I can relate to it a little bit more than calibrate. Calibrate, I don't quite get a hold of that as much. But trending, just going in one direction or going in another direction, I get that. I guess calibrate means to match up with.
Mm-hmm. Great that the languaging can match different people's thinking. Yeah. So we can find which concept feels best to us. Another person who spoke a couple different times is a water specialist. So he was fascinating. I wanted to actually have a conversation with him. I wanted to get to know him. But he said, if we are all water, this was his question, does water have consciousness? And Esther's reply, Abraham's reply was, water is a carrier of alignment. Mm-hmm. Jonathan likes that. Yeah.
Of course I like it, because, there are so many things revolving around water on manifestation techniques. Well, they've actually, like with plants and everything, they've experimented with water. You get a glass of water and give it a lot of negative vibes, you're useless, I hate you, etc., etc. I'm stepping right out of my thing to say these things. And then you say, and you'll see the crystallization of the water go, yucky. That's another nice word I like sometimes to use, yucky. But then if you get the glass of water and you actually praise it, oh, you keep me alive, you're so wonderful. You taste so lovely, oh, you're wonderful. And you watch how the crystallization of the water actually shows the purity of the water. So yeah, it is a thing of alignment.
Yeah, I've looked at the books of that Japanese man that did that study. It's fascinating. The photography is so beautiful, and the crystals that form when we interject our blessing of love and appreciation into water or just see stunning sacred geometry. So beautiful. And if we put in hate or drugs or, you know, like things that don't feel life sustaining, they're fractured. They're definitely different molecules. So
on Facebook Live, there's a Melinda Cassioli, and she's been on for at least an hour because she said earlier this was good stuff, and then a little bit while later she said love that. So she's enjoying that conversation here.
Good.
And then she just wrote Dr. Emoto's studies.
Yeah.
So thank you, Melinda, for that. Emoto. Oh, go ahead.
Watching his videos or anything that he does, just stunning work. Yeah. So water is a carrier of alignment. I mean, isn't that, think of it, if we just inject love and appreciation to every glass of water that we drink, here's some right here, and then that's carrying through me. I mean, wow. What a simple way to really embody the teachings and the vibration. Wow.
Does everybody here start with a glass of water in the morning?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This much.
Do you?
My first sip of water in the morning, it's just because it really feels really good. My body does something, and my body and we send an appreciation to that water every morning. It just tastes so good, that first glass of water in the morning. It's the first thing I do when I get up. I get up and I go to the kitchen, and there it is. So I think that serves me well to start the day with that much appreciation for water. So this intensifies it, though. Thank you very much. I mean, it's just that I do because it really tastes good. You know, you don't drink all night and then drink that water, but this is a new highlight, and I'll even appreciate it even more every morning. So thank you very much, you and Dr. Emoto and Melinda.
Yeah, thank you.
So much these days, because we're mainly high-flying beings here. But in the past, have you noticed, though, on your emotional state and just drinking water because you want a quick drink, that sometimes you'll drink it and you'll go, because you're on a downer, for want of a better word, and then you're in a really good mood. You're like, oh, tastes brilliantly. This tastes better than anything I've drunk before. Oh, I usually like these fizzy drinks, but this is tasting a lot better. Things like that. In this case of the emotional state, when you're drinking something, you'll be surprised. Or even with food, how it can, you could eat something that you usually like, but you're in a bad mood and it's like, goodness, this tastes terrible. I'm not in the mood for this.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, good point.
Wow.
Melinda had another comment here. I put my water on top of the word love or appreciation or frequency, art of joy. So she puts her water on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. And then you drink it, right? I put my water on top of the word love or appreciation or frequency, art of joy. Nice. That's a nice idea. I like that.
It's something easy to do. How easy is that to integrate into your day and to help boost your vibration?
Right. It's another habit to create of, oh, look, I'm setting this on this word. And now I know, because I just read it right here, water carries alignment. So when I'm putting water on joy and then drinking that water, whew, that's just, I want to create some coasters with these words on them. Wouldn't that be a fun thing?
Oh, what a great idea. I bet Melinda loves that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she said, and yes, then I drink in the morning and all day. It's awesome.
Fun.
Good.
For fun. You're well aware that the human body is about 80% water. So if you practice self-love and you love yourself, you've got to love water.
Oh, and just think how much healing in your body you're creating by that whole thought process. If I'm 80% water and I love that water and I love all the water that comes into me, I'm just vibrating everything at that higher level. Wow. Oh, I love that. That's a fun thought. Wow. The most unnatural thing to do is not like yourself. We know that. I want the world to know that. The man that is my partner now was a municipal judge. And I went and visited his court a few times, and I would just sit there and think, oh, can I just take that person home and love them for a while and teach them how to love? Teach them that love is such kindness. It's not hard. And I know that's not my job. So now I just am love, hoping that some of it filters out to those that really need to be touched that way.
Yes, and it does. It's inevitable that it filters out to those who are asking and who are a match to it at that time. It's absolutely inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah. So my husband, John, died before our kids graduated from high school. And when the first one got married, it was the oldest child. And I remember standing at the wedding, and for this one moment, it was after the wedding, I was completely by myself in a yard full of 150 people. And the bride and groom were up on a balcony. And I suddenly had this wave come through me and knew that my eyes were his eyes. And it was such a powerful, moving experience to remind me that I am looking at the world so those on the other side are seeing it from my experience. I love knowing that. It's just so powerful. That was my most profound experience of him.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Are all of your kids married now?
Mm-hmm.
They all are. Uh-huh. And do any of them express an interest in Abraham, or is that just sort of a amorphous kind of a thing?
They're not there yet. I may tell them. I'm going to tell them that this is available if they want to watch it. But I've invited them to listen to things I've done on Zoom things, and they're not there, and that's okay.
Yeah, mine aren't either.
One of them
is
there.
You said they're doing well, and you said they're happy. You said that earlier.
Yeah.
And the way you said it, it was like that's it. That they're doing fine. They're happy.
That's like a starting point. If you're feeling pretty happy and content, then you're not being pulled down by everything. Like some existences are pulled down by every circumstance because they truly have become the victim. I think I can say that my children are above the level of being as a victim. I believe that that's true. And so am I.
I'm gonna have to stop the recording. We can stay on as long as you guys want to play, but the recording gets too big if I don't stop it right pretty soon.
Yeah.
So we need to say thank you, Sue, for this, and then I'll stop the recording and we'll send it to you if you want to use it. So don't go away. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you so much for sharing so much, by the way, too. It's awesome.
It was really fun.
I learned a lot of stuff, and I'll be thinking about a lot of stuff that you've said. So thank you.
Mark, that makes me feel so good because I think you're brilliant. And for you to say that to me is like, whoa, that's really fun.
No, I really, I'll be mulling over a lot of things you said. I've got some notes, but I got more here too, so that I haven't written down. So thank you so much.
Right. Sue, can you just reconfirm this? You're saying they videoed the entire cruise and they're more likely going to be releasing it on a video. Yeah.
You had your choice of audio or video at the end of this cruise. And I chose the video. It just came and I haven't downloaded it onto my computer yet. And there's one segment I was so tired from everything. You know, you're taking so much in that I had to go take a nap. I couldn't even stay. My roommate said, oh, it was a really good session. So I have to go back and explore that one. But I don't know if I'll be able to share it. I mean, I'd be happy to show it, but it would be like 15 hours worth.
I'm just wondering for when it will be available on the Abraham Now site and everything.
Yeah.
So I admitted, I've got a friend who, you know, through various means sends me the aid nows and everything, usually about 3 or 4 days after. But the this one, it probably say no, it'll be too big for him to send.
We're still on, by the way, guys, we're still on Abraham. We're still on Abraham Fund Live.
Oh.
Just so everybody knows that we're still on Abe Fund Live, Facebook Live. So
yeah, so
got that.
Sorry, I'm just wondering, it'll probably be another few weeks before it's available on the site for download for however much I decide to part with. Hey, I've always got more than enough money if I desire it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's the wave of the future that people want to see the video if they can. So I'm hoping that it becomes available to everyone that wants it. And it wasn't even, I mean, I don't remember if it was 110, 20, 30 something dollars, but it's for a lot of hours that I can go back and rewatch and put myself back in that energy. And wow, that's, to me, that's a lot. One of the things I should have ended with this, but I love this. I wrote it down, and this is actually from a YouTube video, not from the cruise. It's from the video I Am Shaking. Somebody put that as the topic. I am shaking because it was.
I did see that headline.
A Dispenza thing, which I haven't even listened to because I like this one, but the quote is, "I now understand that you, Abraham, you were never trying to say to me that those realities don't exist. You are only saying when I hold myself out of the vortex, my frustration is huge." And I really like that because there's a misconception by others that those of us that think in this way or think in the New Thought Church way, that we're not being realist. We're not acknowledging that that is true. There are problems, there's issues, problems. But I really liked the way that came out. Those realities don't serve me. So it's time for me to tell my story of empowerment. Okay.
I know I keep jumping in here, but things are being said and things keep coming forward to my mind and everything about, and I will go on to the one reality. Now, anybody who has listened to the Abraham Nows does know at one point, Abraham stepped to one side and Einstein came through at one point.
Yeah.
And
Love that.
He did not exactly say it like this, but it's been a bit bastardized, paraphrased and everything. But Einstein just said this. Not exactly, and if I wanted to get it exactly, I could probably get it. But to get a long story short, what was it? Reality is an illusion, albeit a very real one.
That's a great way to say it.
He says close enough.
One of my first stories that I remember from Abraham is when the hot seat person said, my grandmother says the earth is going to hell in the handbasket. And Abraham said, well, the way we see it, there's 2 yards. You can play in this yard or you can play in this yard. In this yard, the earth is going to hell in a handbasket. In this yard, there's lots of joy and happiness. You get to decide which yard to play in. And learning that was one of the most impacting first early lessons that I really took in and went, oh, I'm just deciding which yard. That's all I'm doing. I know there's a yard over there, but I don't have to go there.
No.
And they're talking so much about the word choice these days on the broadcasts. And so when we realize we have a choice of yards, we don't have to stay and play in the yard that's miserable that we think we were thrust into. We have a choice. Oh, they're hitting that hard. I was just listening to the last week's, just finishing that up today. And the choice, you have the choice. You always have the choice. Don't ever think you don't have the choice. And somebody said, but Abraham, if you people who are mentally ill that they just can't find, they cannot find a good feeling thought. And Abraham says that's not true. Anybody can always find a thought that feels a little better. And just again, hitting that choice, you have a choice of where to go. You have a choice of which way to trend. And we always have that.
And we also don't know what someone else's choice is.
Sorry, this is a bit big, and I don't know why. What Karen's just got off on there, I understood why I was thinking this at work today, because I only work in a production job, but it's a well-paid production job for me, and I was just doing work, and this just came to me, and about choices, and it was, you always have a choice. But there are 2 things that came to mind that made me think about how we guide our choices. One is consequence. 2 is coercion. You know, for example, I'm going to be very simple here. We can choose to pay a bill or not, but we know there's going to be consequences from not paying that bill. Now, coercion is a bit deeper. Somebody says freedom of choice, you know, so you make your freedom of choice. No, I'm not going to do that. And then they'll say, you know, somebody will try and coerce you with consequences and everything. You don't do this, you know, this could happen, that could happen. Don't care, I'm not going to do it. Well, this could happen, that could happen. But yeah, we always have a choice. But like I say, consequences and coercions sometimes makes the choice for us as such.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are factors.
You know how we read a book that just changes the way we see things? One of the books I read was The Afterlife of Billy Fingers.
People rave about that. Yeah.
It really is about a guy channels a book through his sister, and he was a drug addict, homeless guy, and his sister worried and fretted about him. So he finally croaks, and he comes through, and she's typing this book, and he's saying, I made the choice. I wanted freedom more than I wanted anything else. And yes, I was sometimes in pain, and sometimes I was hungry, but other people are having those kinds of struggles also. You could just see mine because I'm your brother. It was more important to me to be able to come and go as I pleased in life. And dying is a beautiful thing. And so it's what I chose. So it's really along the choice, but in my mind, I think, well, they're making a bad choice, but I don't know that they are. They could be Billy Fingers, which that name is so catchy. It's his real name.
Yeah.
Billy made that choice, and I don't know when he was living that life, if he knew he was choosing that version of freedom, but he kept choosing it. He was given
He was.
Yeah.
He was. When I used to work on, I owned a payphone company of like 400 payphones. So I did a lot of traveling around servicing my own payphone. And I went to lots of places all over. And something was coming through twice. I have sat on benches with homeless people a lot.
I like that.
And I would just see a homeless person on the bench and just talk. And what's so cool is I never did this, like I'm talking to some homeless person that's less than me. We just had conversations like this. And those are powerful, neat conversations, because just to have a conversation like that is appreciated. You just see them as another human being and then have a conversation. And I can tell you, almost every single time during the conversation, they choose to be that. They tried, so many of them would say, I tried that other stuff. I was married, I had kids, I had a mortgage, I had all that stuff. I chose this. And yeah, so yes, I think, what was it? Something Fingers, Billy Fingers, whatever. I believe he chose it. And and so many people that I've sat on benches and take 15 minutes to just have a chat, listen and chat. And it's amazing. They choose it. Don't feel sorry for them.
Look at how many people are in professional jobs who chose that, and they're miserable and ill and all of those things. They just happen to have money, but why don't, they're doing the same sort of thing, and that's their consequences, but they chose that.
Yeah, it's just like what you said. They chose freedom over something, and and it's okay to choose that. That's just, we all get to do it, and however way we want to do it, right, Jonathan? Whatever works for you.
Yeah, well, yes, as always, whatever works for you. But I was just thinking, I was going to ask Karen this. I haven't caught up on Abe now from last Saturday, but I'm going back 2 Saturdays ago. Last one on the call, the potential suicide victim. We all know it's suicide. Was there any update this Saturday just gone? Yes, I may be asking for a spoiler, but nothing was said, because that one I got there, that was one very, very, very deep conversation. And it's what from you said, Sue, about this Billy Fingers story and everything. Somebody actually wrote in and saying, well, I'm not going to go deep, I'm thinking of ending it all and everything. And I was like, wow. Somebody writing in to Abe to actually say on the now And I was just wondering, because I think they finished their conversation as, I will wait for what you say before I make my final decision. So I was
You're absolutely right. You're right. I don't recall hearing anything further on that, Jonathan, unless I somehow missed it. Mark and I, and Mark hasn't heard all of it because I've listened to some of it a little bit during the day, but then we listen while we walk the cat in her buggy, and sometimes I once in a while I'll kind of miss one because sometimes I lose track of where we were, but no, I didn't find anything further on that. I didn't notice it. If there was, I missed it. But yes, it was just somebody who just was in very deep pain and just said, I really feel that I would like to move along. And then as it unfolds, you realize that they're thinking about this very soon when they say, but I'm not going to do anything until I hear back from you. And and it could be that Abraham maybe directly, in addition to reading their email, maybe there was some interchange there as well. But they said the basics, yes, it's fine to crow. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's a great feeling thing to be in non-physical, but it's even bad. There's just so many advantages to physical. And it wasn't long. It wasn't a long, drawn out conversation by any means. They just read it and then they responded really pretty briefly. But it was just about at the end there of that previous week. And I don't know of anything further. But come to think of it, I bet Abraham did probably maybe, write more to them.
Well, I just think of the few hot seaters who have sat down and said about they've had somebody commit suicide, and Abraham has so many times just said 3 words: good for them. That's why I was so wondering, well, because like I say, I listen to Abe now, and a lot of it is background noise to me because people are asking questions I wouldn't think to ask and everything. And sometimes it's when people have also asked questions of Abraham, and I'm like, how would Julius answer this? And the answers have been similar, not exactly on the mark, but it's like Abraham says, they always give their answer to the person who is asking the question, and somebody else could ask a similar question and the answer could be totally different to that person who is asking the question because of where their vibration is. But, it's a case of when that one came up, for the first time in a long time, it was like, what would you say? Because we all know, the fact is, if anybody says about suicide, the clinical approach is look what you've got to look forward to, look who you'll be leaving behind, etc., so on and so forth. But the Abraham approach is perhaps for the individual, it is their path of least resistance. They've accomplished what they've meant to do this time around. Time to move on to the next part, the next meat suit, as Dory and Franny so affectionately call it.
Right, exactly.
Sue, while you were there on the cruise, did you want to get in the hot seat, try to get in the hot seat, have a question for the hot seat, have any desire at all to get in there?
I really didn't. My roommate did and didn't get called on. But then, of course, a couple of times I had questions and they were answered. One of mine was about resentment because I had a realization that I'd been carrying resentment about a situation for quite a while. And I believe that it showed up as some physical stuff. And then somebody else asked something about resentment, and I got the answer of, you know, that's a very low vibration. It's really harmful in your body. And that was all I needed. So no, I didn't. It was super interesting. The first couple of sessions, people who had been on the previous cruise, which was Alaska, came on this one. And they came already in that place of high vibration. And you could just tell, like, oh, they're like different. And the first couple of sessions, they were called on and asked most of the questions. And the questions were almost in a higher level that I don't think most people would even be ready to hear.
Interesting. Wow. And then did you feel like everybody else just kind of gradually came up to speed during the week?
Some of that, and some of the, I'm not sure if it went that way, that everyone came up to that, or maybe that's true. I hadn't thought of it that way. But certainly the questions became a little less specific and really had some beautiful general answers. And that's really where I shared from. The first questions were like, and Abraham even said, yeah, this one, they always ask big questions. One woman came up and Abraham said something to start with. And the woman just couldn't let go of some story to be present. And so Abraham pulled the mic away and said, thank you. And the woman got up and like, oh my gosh, I really did that. I really created the negative feedback that said, oh, you're not in the place to ask the question that we thought you were going to ask. That was really interesting. I'd not seen that happen before.
That happened on the Alaskan cruise.
Did it?
Someone got into the hot seat and they said, yeah, I'm ready to ask this. I'm ready to ask this. And Abraham was like, I don't think you are. Words to that effect. So the person was trying to word the question and everything. And Abraham was like, you're not ready. We will get back to you. All words to that effect.
Yeah.
So this person was like, yeah, I'm ready to ask this. And they just couldn't form the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Well, guys, it's 10:20.
I know.
And we've had it.
It's 8:20 here, and I need to go to bed. It's really dark in Montana.
I bet it is. I bet that's right.
And when the time changed this time, I didn't change. I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and going to bed at 9. So my body just hasn't adjusted, and I like it. I love waking up at 5 o'clock and spending some time with myself and just reveling in it. So
yes, isn't that nice to just stay consistent then and not try to make that change and then have a week of like, oh, that's good for you. Good for you. That's great. Well, we have enjoyed this more than words can convey. It's been so interesting. And I know Jonathan feels as Mark and I do. And Mark, by the way, when he steps away from his desk, he's got his headphones on. He's always listening. He hears every word. Because sometimes I say, hey, where'd you go? You've been around the kitchen.
A lot of times I'm in there in the other room petting one of my cats. I have one cat that stays in this room and another cat that stays in the other room, and not a lot of interaction between the two of them. So this one I just feel at nighttime there's a certain times that I like to give them both some attention and love, and so I go in there and that one jumps up on the couch and I pet her and there's nothing better than petting a cat while you're high vibrating and listening to wisdom and loving Sue. So
beautiful
from Sue. So that's what I was doing mostly tonight.
Thank you. I want to thank you for this opportunity because, as I said about being a teacher, when you teach something, you really bring the pieces together. And this helped a great deal. So,
we loved it. It was mesmerizing, Sue. I felt like I gained so much, and it was just fascinating. All that you shared and getting to know you better, and it was an utter delight. Thank you so much. And if any other time you want to share, we'd love to have you back.
See what happens next.
Yes, who knows what cruise and place you're going to go. But anyway, we always will delight in having a report. But even if you don't go anywhere, we would love to hear you speak about what you're learning. It's fascinating. Love you guys so much. Love you, Jonathan.
Love you too. See you guys.
Love you all.
Good night. Thank you, Melinda, for joining us too.
Yes, thank you, guys.
Mandy.